Does Coinbase hold the Bitcoin they're supposed to? If they were so trustworthy, why did BlackRock just silently move a portion of their massive $45 billion worth of Bitcoin away from Coinbase to the custody of a much smaller firm, only 1/10 the size, called Anchorage Digital? This is not the only time BlackRock has made moves to potentially distance itself from the world's largest Bitcoin exchange. After rumors were circulating in 2024, BlackRock officially amended their custody agreement with Coinbase, only adding fuel to the fire of speculation concerning rampant paper Bitcoin. So the title here, BlackRock amends Coinbase custody agreement to require 12-hour withdrawals amid debt rumors. So the beginning of the article, BlackRock has amended its custody agreement with Coinbase, updating operational procedures for its iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF. Bumping forward a little bit here, and this is the interesting part. Coinbase custody must now process a withdrawal of digital assets to a public blockchain address within 12 hours of receiving instructions from the trust or its authorized representatives, subject to specific balance requirements. This development comes amid recent allegations against Coinbase, claiming the exchange was not using BlackRock's funds to purchase actual Bitcoin for the ETF. Social media rumors suggest that Coinbase was issuing letters of debt instead of backing the ETF with Bitcoin and manipulating Bitcoin's price using BlackRock's funds. This is the thing that I focused on in this article, again, from back in the fall. Bloomberg senior ETF analyst Eric Balchanus, I'm not sure how to say that name. I'm sorry, Eric, refuted these allegations, stating that BlackRock would act if Coinbase were screwing around with their Bitcoin. Well, did they just act? Because BlackRock expands Bitcoin custody beyond Coinbase. SEC filings reveal Anchorage Digital will safeguard a portion of Bitcoin for BlackRock's 45 billion iShares Bitcoin Trust. And again, the kicker, BlackRock cites the move as part of its, quote, ongoing risk management and growing presence in digital assets. So the question is, which risk are they managing against? Adam, you are a self-custody maximalist, so I'm going to tee you up a little bit first. What are your thoughts in and around what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, it's listen, BlackRock, whether you think, it's like just loose risk management or something's going on behind our backs, I think that, oftentimes when a big scandal happens, you can kind of look backwards and be like, oh, hey, this was pretty obviously happening. And the devil was in the details, or the cards were lying down. And this is one of those times. I think platforms that hold Bitcoin are not Bitcoin platforms. They are anti-Bitcoin. It's anti-freedom. And hey, I didn't have BlackRock calling the self-custody alarm bell in 2025 on my bingo card, but if they're going to listen to our boy Gary about why you need to take self-custody, then, hashtag delete Coinbase and take self-custody. It doesn't matter who says it, as long as people are listening. Building off that, I found it interesting over the weekend, or over this past week, how much price action we've had and how the mempool is like just empty.
Yeah.
It's like one block of transactions, one sat per byte for like next block. Historically, when we've had, like, I think this week was probably pretty high trading volume. I don't really track, institutional trading volume too closely, but I know, usually like our trading volumes track kind of the general populace trading volumes, and we were high, which means I assume the world was high. And when you don't have block bloat during periods of high volume, you just know it's paper Bitcoin. Whether or not it's fractional Bitcoin, maybe is a different discussion, but it is scary to me that we have this much price action, this much movement, and no Bitcoin actually moving.
Mechanic or Steve, whoever wants to jump in first, do you guys have any thoughts in around this?
Of course they're selling paper Bitcoin, Ben. I mean, obviously. They do tend to do that over time. I mean, there's a lot of bank runs throughout history and a lot of trust put into the biggest names, and they still end up with their pants down when everyone comes to get their money. when you look at the aggregate, all the custodians on the market, someone is selling paper Bitcoin, and like someone is mishandling customer deposits, like through good intentions, but they screw it up. So it's happening. It's like, just what degree is it fractioned is always the question.
I don't want to live in a universe where people can F around and not find out. So I want people holding massive amounts of Bitcoins with third-party custodians, whether it's people I don't like BlackRock, or whether it's people or at least used to really like Michael Saylor. Like, I would love for them all to get wrecked and learn, stop holding paper Bitcoin. We know the whole point is it's gold with an upgrade. But gold is useless when it comes to verifying what you have yourself, or storing it, or using it as a practical medium of exchange. Bitcoin was supposed to fix all that. It's supposed to be a bug fix for that and be gold 2.0 with other stuff too. And if you're not going to make use of any of that stuff, then it's just gold again. If you're going to store it all with third parties and use paper stuff to move it around, then you didn't do anything, and we're just going to get manipulated and confiscated and 6102'd and all this absolute garbage that we're supposed to have progressed out of. And it seems to me the only way you can hit people over the head with it is, okay, you did the wrong thing. Now your life savings have been stolen. That's like the only thing you can do to people and make them go, all right, I'll buy, a $20 hardware wallet and actually take some responsibility for it.
Yeah. I feel like this is just going to be a series of larger and larger rug pulls over time, right? Whether intentional or not, until the entire world learns its lesson. Like, we've seen it from cycle to cycle. Again, we mentioned Mt. Gox, but the world didn't learn its lesson from that, because next cycle what happened? Quadriga CX. World didn't learn its lesson from that, because next cycle what happened? Well, it was FTX. Even though everybody's like, oh, we've moved past this. This is the shining beacon on a hill. This is where we want to be. No, it was the worst rug pull yet. Can you imagine, though, the implosion of Coinbase and the shockwaves that would send? Would be insane to see that go down.
All the ETFs that are stacked upon it, all the other millions, I don't know, millions, but many hundreds of thousands presumably of investors stacked upon that. It would be epic. But I mean, I think it's inevitable. Like, there's Trace Mayer a few years ago, before he disappeared and did something different for a while, was advocating for the January 3rd Keys Day, or whatever they call that, Proof of Keys Day. And that needs to happen, like, because I am personally fully convinced that if enough of it, I don't know what the threshold is, but if enough of people pull their keys out of custodial care, it's going to trigger a snowball insolvency, and it's going to be pretty ugly. It'll be a big fractioning of people's coins again.
Do you guys think, will the government, the same way that the government backed up and kind of bailed out like Lehman, do you think that Coinbase, just with their prevalence and how many coins, this is a thought exercise I've been going through, is if they get honeypotted or they get outed that half the coins aren't there or whatever, do you think the government goes into mass print to make those people whole? Does it fork and turn into like some Coinbase Bitcoin kind of proxy? Like, where does the buck stop from here?
I think that trying to fork would be impossible, because you have other nations that are starting to eyeball. If they're not doing it kind of low key, they're starting to debate, should we have a reserve? And so, as much as I'm not cheering on governments holding Bitcoin, because I'm not super keen on them being able to dig themselves out of their own hole. At the same time, when you have multiple governments around the world, especially ones that are antagonistic towards each other, and one screws up in a fashion where they lose their strategic reserve because they relied on some shit heap to custody it for them, well, I mean, they try to fork, and every other nation is like, well, you guys can have USA coin over there. That's fine. Or whatever. Maybe it's the opposite. You guys can have China coin or Russia coin or whatever. But the rest of the world goes, no, this is the money. And so it just becomes that, well, what are you going to do? What I think is more likely that could be possible is, if it was, depending on when that hits, as Steve, you said, I think it's inevitable. I kind of agree. Something like that is inevitable at some point. And if it's big enough, I think there's a possibility that they print to rebuy the Bitcoin, but depending how far down the line it is, what if they can't, what if
enough.
the printing is devaluing the currency at a rate at which it's impossible. At this point, it would just be kind of like but we're gonna print some money and buy
Like
some
the
Bitcoin.
flywheel effect.
Yeah, and
on-
anybody stupid enough to take the dollars that were just printed in exchange for their scarce Bitcoin.
Well, I wonder if you can follow the chain, assuming it is there and you can follow that chain through, I wonder if it becomes kind of like a fungibility problem where those coins get almost, I remember a few years ago, they were trying to like reduce fungibility of Bitcoin with some kind of climate nonsense, deeming some coins green because they were mined in a certain pool or whatever, which is like obviously complete garbage.
That was
But I
Pega
wonder if
pool.
like the stolen coins from
Yeah.
Coinbase, assuming they're there, get black marked and tainted. And then, I mean, theoretically, to Satoshi's promise, it becomes a donation to us all because those coins effectively go to zero or have to get cleaned, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see all the downstream effects of like just don't we're misaligning incentives right now. We're kind of ruining. We're losing the plot in favor of like leverage and fiat and paper. It's kind of like, hey, just stop doing that. And stack responsibly, stay humble, and keep it sovereign.